All right, so here we are today. I've got Felipe Drago, and he is actually live with us from London. And I've got our Hudson All-Star editor, Joe Bergamini, live from the great state of New Jersey.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Thanks for making time for us, Felipe. Let's jump in and, let me just start it off with a question.
Yeah, sure.
Why, what inspired you to write the book, and what makes it different than other books on the market?
Okay, what inspired, years ago, I lived in LA for 4 years, then I went back to Brazil. And in Brazil, I got in touch with something called accelerated learning, which is used for teaching languages. And after 48 hours of lesson, they can take a person who had never spoken a language and make them communicate themselves and understand what's being said, whatever language it is. And as I was going through the training, kind of like the book came as the guy was explaining to me how to apply accelerated learning to a language. The image I got in my mind was how to apply it to drums, because it was so perfect for drumming with all the techniques and everything. And what really makes it different is first lesson, first page, there's a recognizable beat that the student plays and hears it. Oh, this is an actual drum beat. And then I can show examples of songs that have that same beat the students playing. And then they like go, wow, this is great. And with the accelerated learning beat, where you kind of build blocks, you start with, like if you were teaching a language, small words and then simple sentences and then, simple dialogues. It makes sense. So makes learning to play drums a lot faster, because one lesson builds, one unit rather, builds for the next one. Basically, that's it.
And from what I've seen in the book, it's got a lot of videos. I mean, it's very dense. You want to talk a little bit about the number of videos and kind of what they cover?
Yeah, there's the truth is a bunch of videos were cut out because it was too big. I did videos for all exercises. So each unit has 4 different parts. The play part, where the student play beats. Coordination part, where it's stick control exercises applied on the snare with the hi-hat keeping the beat. Reading, then the theory, and then the part I call fun, because we apply the coordination exercises as drum fills. So you're playing a beat and a drum fill. And so I try to have as many possible videos for each part, because especially nowadays, people are very visual. There are great books that people don't want to go through because there's no audio and there's no video. So I wanted to, and also if somebody buys the book and want to learn by themselves, they will have a couple of examples of me playing the exercises, so they can put the video and play along if they want.
And what really makes it great is for the Hudson digital player, for people that haven't seen it, there's the text on a page. So let's say you're on an iPad, you have a nice big size page of text or music notation combined. And then there's an icon for audio or video. You just tap it and it opens right up on the screen. You're not looking for discs.
Exactly.
The website to download anything. It makes it so effortless. And that's really why I've gotten, a couple of years back, I got really excited about video and audio on a digital platform, because it's just a better user experience than having.
It is much better, yeah. And nothing better than having the author of the book showing you how to play it.
Right. Joe, you have a question?
Well, just a comment. We get so many different books, especially not only with Hudson, but with Wisdom. And when I saw Felipe's book, I thought it was really intriguing. You don't need to know the educational method that he spoke about before. This is just a very fun, very straightforward, and different approach to learning beginner drums. And the thing that, as Felipe said, it's really focused on those beats. So you start out with simple beats. There's also audio as well as video. And what's interesting is the coordination part of it is not, it helps to train a young beginner to play with coordination, but they start out very simply. And that was your concept, right, Felipe? So
Yeah, exactly.
you learn the groove, but then you're sort of training simple little, almost fun exercises for the other limbs.
Exactly. Yeah. And also one thing that when I was a beginner was a struggle for me was when the teacher said, okay, so now let's play the right cymbal and keep the beat with the left foot. That was simply impossible for me. Mm-hmm. And then I decided to early on put the left foot working. So in unit 1, coordination beat, the part of coordination, page 10, you have the exercises in quarter notes and the hi-hat playing quarter notes. The limbs all play together. So it from the very beginning you're using your left foot, but in a way that doesn't make it hard. And then when you get to eighth notes, it's just a matter of adding an extra note.
So Felipe, did you target this really for the complete beginner? This is for somebody that's never picked up drumsticks before, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it also helps a lot people who play but cannot read. You know, so if I have a student that comes here and say, I've been playing for, let's say, a year, but I don't know how to read music. So I start with my book, because then I say, it's going to be easy for you, but you start understanding what is it that you're doing now. So it also, but mainly for the absolute beginner. That's the main target of the book.
And just to build on that, you know, we've said before, you have play, where you learn some grooves, then coordination, and then reading, and then theory, and then fun after that. And what I like about this is, if you teach, and having taught many beginner books, the book is, the length of the lessons is really palatable. It's really nice for giving a weekly assignment to a young student or a total beginner. And it also mixes it up, so you're never too bogged down in reading that you get, you know, bored or confused. You just have a couple of simple concepts in each of these areas in every chapter. So when you're teaching a beginner, you always have a good assignment to give them, and you always have something that keeps them engaged without getting them overwhelmed. And that's one of the reasons I liked the book, and we decided to you know, publish it.
Yeah, and you don't have to go like from page 8, 9, 10. You know, you can do, because in the same lesson, because in the same unit, because everything is either quarter notes, eighth notes, or 16th note. You can do a page of the play part, of the beats. A couple, not even a page, but a couple of exercises for the coordination part. And then even jump to the fun part. So you can do a little bit of everything in one lesson, which also shows the student that they're moving on.
Talk a little bit about, I know there's 30 play-along tracks. You know, what are they stylistically? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, they're basically rock blues tunes. You know, I more important than the style. I was worried about the coordination. You know, so from the very beginning, somebody being able to play a song. So the first unit being quarter notes, it's a little bit harder to fine tune. So probably the student will not play any known songs with quarter notes. But then, for example, from unit 2, most of the songs they learn on the radio are played in eighth notes. So then, if they have a different style that they like, they're not much of a rock person, they can find songs on the radio and or Spotify or whatever they listen to music nowadays, where they can relate those beats to the song. So much so that when we get to unit 2, I make them play Billie Jean, that is a funk tune, pop funk tune. So the songs in the book are rock tunes, but the beats also apply to different styles.
Great. Well, you know, I think we covered it here. Joe, you have any last questions for Felipe?
Not really. I would just say that if you have beginners that you either teach or that you know, one thing that's important with beginners is that I found, and Felipe, I think you probably agree, that sometimes, you know, you need a lot of reinforcement with a beginner. So if you've been teaching a while and maybe you have some beginner books that you like, this one is a great complement. You can use it by itself. You could also use it in conjunction with a lot of the other classic beginner books.
Yeah, good point.
And when it comes to all this content, like most of our books, not only can you tap on the example and see the video and the audio pop up, but we do have in the beginning of the book a listing of everything that's in there. So you can organize yourself and see what multimedia you have. And I would just recommend that beginners and teachers check this one out. It's very well done.
Yeah, I love it. Felipe, I think you did a great job, you know.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Go off my hat. Anyway, so thank you. You know, we'll let you get back to what you're doing in London.
All right.
Big Ben is still ticking, and hunkered down here at home. We're all in it together, and we're all going to get through it together.
Yes, I'm sure.
So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.